Hi Gemini, welcome to your April 2020 Life Path reading. It's Rena here. This is something that I have done in the past with a different format using oracle cards. I can't remember everything I used, but I'm doing it just with tarot cards this time. Sorry for the weird lighting. I opened my blinds and it probably would have been better to keep them closed because there would have been enough light coming through, to say the least. But since the tape is rolling, we'll just deal with it, I guess. So yeah, this is intended to be kind of like looking at this juncture in your life journey and see if there's anything that resonates with what you are going through, some themes. And I do these types of readings from an astrological perspective where I use the natal chart. And so this is going to be quite different because I'm using tarot cards. But if you're like at a place where you're wanting change in your life, even early on, even in your 20s, please check out my website, RenaMoonAstrology.com. The link is below because I really love doing these types of readings. And I love doing these tarot readings on YouTube because it's kind of like I love the idea of, you know, people really being intentional about their lives and what direction they're going in. Okay, so it's just a simple 4-card spread, and I'll kind of explain after I am done. Because I'm also drawing connections, not just, this is not just about like, what do you want to do for a living? This is about everything kind of, oh, I like that. Everything kind of like tying in together to create this certain theme in life. So, in other words, a person's professional life influencing their personal life, or the other way around. And, we're not just kind of in these little compartments. And the higher picture, this is kind of like more looking at it from a higher perspective. So where you are right now, 10 of Wands, you can see the person is hunched over. So this can indicate this sense of feeling maybe even like a burden in life, feeling like too much responsibility. Some of that responsibility may be something that you're taking on. I'm not going to let you off the hook, Gemini, especially in personal relationships. Maybe you're taking responsibility for something that you have no business doing so, and that it's actually perpetuating the problem. So when I do life path readings here, this is specific to the YouTube version. I'm not just looking at what can you do for, in your life. I'm looking at like what is going on in your life that may be affecting your life and, influencing your choices in every aspect, like I said a few minutes ago. And so let me give you an example. Let's say that you are in a codependent relationship where somebody that you're with, and a codependent relationship, now that I think about it, it can even be a parent and an adult child. And you're kind of paying their bills and you're doing everything for them. They're not improving, but you feel guilty about something. Usually I think guilt is what keeps a person on the hook like that. And they feel like they somehow failed that person and they have to do this to make up for it. But in actuality, it's not going to help them. That's the thing that people have to understand about codependent relationships, is that you are trying to help somebody and you're actually hurting them. And you're robbing them of their autonomy. In the workplace, doing the work of you and another person, somehow feeling obligated. Oh, this person is on maternity leave and, you know, I can't afford to hire a new person. But they were able to afford to pay that person's salary. So obviously they can. Well, maybe they're paying money for maternity leave, who knows. But the point is, you take that as your responsibility to do somebody else's job for them. Do the job of 2 people, or do the job of 1.5 people. No. That's something that you're choosing to do. And one thing that I always say, because this is a card that can indicate that you're heading towards burnout, is that once you burn out, you can't do anything. You can't even do your own job. So self-care can be as simple as knowing what your limits are, and knowing that if you try to push yourself, you're not going to be good to anybody, even yourself. So if you're doing it for altruistic reasons, just realize that. And also just in general, this sense of having to work long hours in some cases, that can limit your ability to enjoy other areas of life. Life isn't just about working. So that's another thing that you need to consider. Where you want to be. 6 of Pentacles, the scales. Give and take. Getting paid for what you're worth. Having more balance between the energy that you put out and what you get back, and also in terms of your being able to regulate maybe the hours that you work so that you have time for other things. And you know, the pentacles relate to your money, but they can relate to your body. So treating your body in a way where it's not being overworked, that you're able to get enough sleep, that you're able to get enough time to eat lunch and not scarf it down so that you're able to digest properly, all of those things. And there's a stark contrast between that 10 of Wands and that 6 of Pentacles. Advice, King of Wands. This is a card of self-empowerment. Wands, now here we have another Wands. Wands relates to career, and it relates to autonomy, and in other words, thinking of the self and the needs of the self. And therefore, you are, well, when I say needs of the self, I really shouldn't put it that way. But being like more connected to your own path rather than following somebody else's. In other words, that self-empowerment, that captain of your own ship type of vibe. And that can mean that you no longer are working for somebody else, let's say. It's not to suggest that everybody has to work for themselves in order to experience autonomy. You could be working for somebody else, but you simply are being assertive. And with the King of Wands, there's like the ultimate sense of confidence, because that's what Wands, this is fire energy. So fire energy is very connected to the self. Confidence is connected to the self. It's knowing yourself and knowing that you have the ability to call your own shots, and that you're not, so you're not in that weakened state. And sometimes, depending on what you're doing right now, that may mean working for yourself, starting your own business. But in other cases, you may be with somebody who is quite reasonable. You've just never bothered to test them out, so to speak. So I would definitely give the person that you're working for the chance to be a decent person. If you feel that you're overworked, and you don't feel, there's no fear of losing your job, just speak up. However, if you know that the person that you work for is one of those types that if you say anything, that they will fire you, and you can't afford that right now, then you're going to have to create an exit strategy. But the thing is, you're not going to continue to suffer in silence in terms of, you might have to suffer in silence, but I mean, you're not going to just assume that this is how you should be going forward. You're just drawing a line in the sand to yourself and saying, I know I can't bring this up with my boss because they're quite, intolerant or what have you, but I am realizing the limitations of the situation, and I'm not going to allow it to continue indefinitely. Sorry, yeah, there we go. I wanted to put in my electric cord. So there you go. So yeah, I mean, and I love this card as the outcome card. The Fool card is about embarking on a new journey and not knowing where you're going. Whenever I see the Fool card these days, I think about that solar eclipse coming in June, which is at 0 degrees of Cancer. This is on the summer solstice or winter solstice if you live down under. And the thing about this for you, Gemini, is that this is occurring in your second house of earned income. So that might be the catalyst for some new source of revenue coming in for you. But you have to be the one to realize that you're the captain of your ship. That in order for this to happen, So hopefully I've given you a little nudge, and I hope that you enjoyed this and have a great month. Take care. Bye.